Get your CGR shirts and glassware at ClassicGameRoom.com. Classic Game Room is brought to you by Magnum Skywolf. CGR is supported by fans on Patreon. Thank you. Welcome to Classic Game Room, where you know what they say, if your old school computer from the 80s doesn't have pastel colored buttons, then your old school computer from the 80s isn't the Atari XE. This is Gyruss. For the Atari. Where it's like Easter every day. I love that sound, and I love this game. It's Gyruss on the Atari Computer, which is the first review recorded using the Framemeister. Making a guest appearance is the CRT television, working together to bring you an old-school ass-whooping with Konami's 1983 arcade classic Gyruss being played here on the Atari XEGS, where the GS stands for Framemeister, which you obviously don't need when playing Atari Computer on the CRT. But here's a look at the Framemeister shot where you can put an old school effect over the video image, which I really like. This reminds me of the 1970s TVs like my grandma used to have. The ones carved out of a giant block of wood, they were like furniture. In fact, they were nicer than furniture because they played Atari. Your couch did not, and odds are it smelled. This will be part of the Framemeister review, but let me focus on Gyruss here. This is a nice version of one of my favorite old school arcade games. It's hard to say if it's the best version, but I'm really impressed, and it plays so well using the Sega Genesis controller on the Atari Computer. That's right, Atari planned ahead. That's one of my favorite features about the Atari XE computer, controller versatility. Also, the video and audio output is fantastic, as you can see. And here, Gyruss sounds good too. It's just a great game, and this is so dirt cheap, considering how much fun it is. The Atari version doesn't stand out in any one particular way. I've reviewed Gyruss on the ColecoVision and NES. They're all slightly different, but more or less the same. Gyruss isn't a terribly visually complex game. It looks good, it sounds good, sure. But basically it's like Galaga if it was being flushed down the toilet. I don't mean that in a derogative way, but everything's spiraling. Why do I think like this? I don't know why I think like this. If for some reason you've never played Gyruss before, what you do is fairly simple. Shoot everything trying to kill you and avoid the asteroids. There you go. Beware the kamikaze aliens that will fly right into you, and also keep an eye out for enemy laser fire. When you're machine gunning them, it's easy to miss that they're firing back at you. I like to keep moving in this game. If you stay stationary, you're dead. But also, watch out for what you might fly into. Gyruss is one of these classic arcade games. It never gets old. And while you may not hear as much about Gyruss as other games like Galaga or Space Invaders or even Tempest, it's tons of fun, and this is available on most of the old school game systems, even the Atari 2600, but this version is way better than that. Check out the ColecoVision and NES versions, they're also really good. I also really dig the music in this version of the game and the little drum beat in the background. It's great. And you'll never guess who sent Gyruss to the show. Only the world's biggest Gyruss fan ever, And that would be Mark from East Meadow, New York. So thanks again, Mark, for another excellent version of Gyruss. I'm a big fan of the Atari XE computer. And this game doesn't cost very much. It plays really well and looks good. So yes, Gyruss is super highly recommended. And you should listen to some KMFDM before you play it, so you sing Gyruss like virus. You know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, you should. Gyruss. Recommended for any game system, but definitely the Atari XE computer. Teach those spiraling aliens a thing or two with your laser beam from the future, from 1984. As far as I know, this will play on your older Atari computer as well, but not the Atari Jaguar. Gyruss. If you're going to buy the game anyway, buy it through ClassicGameRoom.com. Classic Game Room is supported by fans on Patreon. Thank you. Now prepare for the Lord Carnage Club, where I celebrate these backers on Patreon by shouting their name in a volcano! Derek Langley. Beer is the trick. Stephen Chucknick. From New Jersey. Michael Fernandez. People not named Michael Fernandez aren't Michael Fernandez. Al Stiver. Jason from British Columbia. Philipp Straubenmueller from Vienna, Austria. Cue the thunder. Jeff, Captain Dauntless, Breyer. Cue the lava. I don't know what lava sounds like. It sounds like this. Jack Stavris from Australia. Ohad Kane, Master of Thunder. Chip Senkbeil, Fighter of Space Bees! Woo! Rick DeBarros gets the extra disco. Michael and Ariana Nelson! Fighters of the future! That's enough disco, because now it's time to shout, Busy Signal! That's right, and keep the volume loud and the party rocking for Sean Zoltek. Really? No. Sean Zoltek! Sergio Matthias Hergert! Tubular. Will.